For 7 centuries, every major museum dismissed it as a fantasy, until the shifting desert sands exposed a sunken courtyard and a myth became real. Welcome to the Purely Fiction Society. I am Knowles, your host, and tonight we travel to sun-drenched Morocco, to the bazaars of Marrakech, and a beautiful lush oasis where ancient secrets lie buried beneath the shifting desert sands. Join me as we follow a wealthy heiress who discovers that some treasures carry a price that money simply cannot buy. This is the Sultan's tear. The morning sun of Marrakech does not gently wake the city, it strikes it with a blinding, immediate heat. Inside the ancient stone walls of the Grand Bazaar, the air is already a thick, moving wave of dust and fragrance. It smells heavily of paprika, cinnamon, and cedarwood. Overhead, massive canopies of crimson and saffron silk stretch between the clay buildings, turning the harsh Moroccan sky into a rich rust glow. Thousands of voices argue, barter, and shout in a chaotic rhythm that echoes down the narrow alleys. Through the sea of noise walks Adrianne Black. She moves through the crowd with purpose, completely untouched by the chaos around her. Blonde hair in a tight knot atop her head, she is striking, but it's her eyes that stop people in their tracks. They are piercing emerald green eyes that look at the world not with wonder, but with a deep permanent boredom. As the sole heiress to one of the largest shipping empires in the world, her wealth is not just immense, it is a weapon. But her infinite fortune has left her completely numb. The simple act of buying things no longer gives her a rush. She has grown profoundly bored with a world where everything has a price tag. The only thing that gives Adrianne a rush of adrenaline now is the chase. She craves the things that are thought to be completely unreachable. She wants the objects that history has crossed out. For the past 3 years, her singular obsession has been a 14th century artifact known as the Sultan's tear. According to the private, incomplete diaries of a long-dead royal physician, the necklace was a masterpiece of old-world luxury. It was crafted for a desert princess who vanished into the empty sands during a violent palace coup. For 7 centuries, every major archaeological museum in the world dismissed the necklace as a myth, a romantic fairy tale, with absolutely zero physical proof. But Adrianne does not believe in myths, she believes in data. She spent millions of dollars hiring private satellite teams to run deep penetration radar sweeps of the Moroccan interior. She bypassed the academic committees and bought the exclusive territorial rights to the lands directly from the local councils. 2 weeks ago, the radar finally found a shadow beneath the dunes. The clear, structured outline of a sunken medieval courtyard buried beneath the roots of a remote oasis. Now she is in the heart of the old city to secure a final piece of the puzzle. Adrianne steps out of the bright crimson light of the bazaar and enters the dim, cool interior of a small antiquity shop. The walls are lined with old brass lanterns, tattered rugs, and a row of aging pottery. Sitting behind a low wooden counter is an elderly merchant, his eyes clouded with age. Adrianne does not waste time with polite greetings or haggling. She walks straight to the counter, her green eyes locked onto the old man. She reaches into her leather coat and places a thick, heavy stack of bills onto the counter. I'm looking for the family archives of the caravan guards who served the eastern borders, Adrianne says, her voice smooth, quiet, and completely absolute. The merchant looks down at the money, then looks up at the striking blonde woman standing before him. He does not see a tourist. He sees the ruthless determination of a woman who will simply buy the building if he refuses her. He reaches into a locked iron drawer beneath the counter and pulls out a fragile yellow scroll of parchment, an ancient guard ledger from the year 1342. Adrianne takes the scroll, her fingers brushing the dry, brittle edges. She unrolls it under the dim light of a lamp. Her eyes scans the old script until they lock onto a specific handwritten note. It describes the final night of the princess, confirming she was hidden inside a secret chamber directly beneath the central roots of the grand palm tree at the eastern oasis. For the first time in months, the cold boredom in her chest vanishes, replaced by sharp, burning excitement. The hunt has officially begun. 2 days later, Adrianne's luxury caravan of heavily modified off-road vehicles arrives at the remote oasis just as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. The setting is stunning. The oasis is a lush green paradise hidden between two massive ridges of towering golden sand dunes. High, elegant date palms surround a central pool of perfectly still, dark water. The green leaves of the palms rustle softly in the evening breeze, cutting a beautiful contrast against the endless dry expanse of the surrounding desert. Adrianne steps out of her vehicle, her boots sinking slightly into the soft sand. She looks towards the eastern edge of the water, where the top stone arches of a sunken courtyard peek out from the base of a massive dune. The satellite data was flawless. The structure is real. But the peaceful beauty of the landscape is instantly cut short by a sudden dangerous shift in the weather. The desert air grows completely still, turning hot and suffocatingly dry. The sweet scent of the date palms is replaced by the sharp smell of coiling dust and sand. On the northern horizon, a massive wall-like cloud of dark red sand begins to rise, billowing thousands of feet into the air and blotting out the blue sky. A violent, unpredictable sandstorm is on its way. The lead local guide sprints to Adrianne's side, his face pale with anxiety as he looks at the encroaching wall of red dust. The storm is moving fast. He guides her towards the vehicles to wait out the storm and then secures the campsite. The excavation must wait. It must wait until morning. Adrianne looks from the guide back to the sand ridge. The fierce wind is already eroding the side of the dune, exposing the limestone archway further, but it is also shifting the massive crest of sand above it. She knows that if she waits until morning, the storm will dump thousands of tons of fresh sand onto the courtyard, burying the site under 50 feet of earth and hiding it forever. Adrianne is not waiting. She's going now. Ignoring the protests of her crew, Adrianne grabs a heavy brass lantern and a solid steel entrenching tool from the back of her vehicle. She marches directly toward the exposed stone archway as the first violent gusts of the sandstorm hit the oasis. The wind quickly becomes a roaring gale, pelting her skin with sharp, stinging grains of sand and reducing the visibility to less than 3 feet. She fights her way through the binding red fog, reaching the base of the stone archway. She clears away a small blockage of debris with her tool and forces her body through a narrow, sandy gap between the heavy ancient stones. She drops down onto a dark underground staircase, and the howling roar of the wind instantly vanishes, replaced by an intense, heavy silence. Adrianne clicks on her lantern, the warm amber light cutting through the absolute darkness. The light illuminates a long, sloping corridor lined with large, hand-carved limestone blocks. The air down here is heavy, hot, and completely stagnant, untouched by the outside world for 700 years. She walks down the stairs, her boots clicking sharply against the stone. Her heart is beating faster, the echoes of her footsteps reverberating down the dark corridor. This is the exact thrill she has been searching for. At the end of the stone corridor, she enters a magnificent circular chamber. The ceiling is a towering dome, supported by thick solid walls, and half of the room is already choked with sand that has slowly leaked through the roof cracks over centuries. Adrianne approaches the seemingly solid limestone walls. Following the old scroll, she runs her fingers along the rough stone joints until she finds a loose decorative carving. She presses it, and the heavy iron latch clicks behind the stone, causing a hidden panel to pop outward. Inside the dark wall recess sits a beautiful carved golden and jeweled casket. Her hand shakes slightly with genuine excitement as she reaches out. There are no modern puzzle locks or geometric doohickeys here. The iron lid is simply held shut by a traditional heavy bronze latch. She catches her breath, grips the cold metal, and lifts the latch. The iron hinges grind loudly, resisting her effort, but the heavy lid finally swings open. Adrianne stands perfectly still, her green eyes widening in absolute awe. Resting inside the velvet-lined casket is the Sultan's tear. It is more beautiful than any historical diary could ever describe. The necklace is a heavy, solid strand of raw, hand-beaten platinum, completely untarnished by the passage of time. Set into the platinum are 12 massive, deep blue sapphires, each the size of a house bunting's egg. In the center of the strand hangs a single flawless tear-shaped diamond that catches the amber light of her lantern, splitting it into thousands of glittering stars across the limestone walls. The stones are icy cold to the touch, a shocking contrast to the heat inside of the subterranean room. She lifts the heavy necklace out of the casket, holding the tool to see better. The cool platinum in her palms. It feels heavy and real. It is hers. She has found it. She has the wealth, the lawyers, and the international power to take it back to her private estate, to hide it away in a vault where only she can look at it, to cure her boredom. Suddenly a terrifying sound echoes through the chamber. The violent sandstorm outside has reached its peak. The howling wind roars down the entrance shaft like a heavy torrent of loose, dry sand, and more sand begins to pour into the room like a waterfall, rapidly filling the exit corridor. The unstable desert dunes are shifting, determined to trap her inside the dark room forever. Adrianne jams the heavy necklace into her vest pocket and grabs her lantern. She turns and sprints towards the exit corridor, but the rising sand is moving too fast, climbing up to her ankles and slowly her boots. She fights against the heavy weight of the desert earth, scrambling up the stone stairs as the sand pours over her shoulders, threatening to bury the exit path completely. With a final desperate burst of energy, she forces her body through the shrinking gap at the top of the stairs, tumbling out into the howling storm just before the entrance is entirely choked with sand. The wind is still roaring, but the worst of the storm has passed. Her excavation crew is waiting anxiously at the edge of the dunes, cheering as they see her emerge from the dust, safe and alive. An hour later, the storm completely dies down. The temple is safe, and the desert returns to a peaceful, silent calm under a breathtaking blanket of brilliant stars. Adrianne sits inside the main tent of her luxury camp, the heavy platinum necklace resting on the wooden table in front of her. Her crew stands around the tent, staring at the glittering blue sapphires in absolute silence. The lead guide looks at the artifact, his eyes filled with a deep emotional reverence. This is a piece of his people's missing history. To know it is real, it changes everything for them. Adrianne looks from the guide's face back to the Sultan's tear. She looks at the flawless diamond, reflecting the starlight through the mesh of the tent. For the first time in her life, the intense feeling of boredom does not return. But it isn't because she owns the jewel. It is because she realizes the true power of what she has done. This necklace does not belong in the dark, in a private safe, in a wealthy heiress's mansion across the ocean. It belongs to the history of the world. It belongs to the desert and to the people who never lost faith in the legend. The next morning, Adrianne's caravan arrives at the grand gates of the National Museum in Rabat. She does not ask for money. She does not ask for fame. She walks into the director's office and carefully places the heavy velvet case onto his desk. When the box is opened, the museum staff gasps, tears welling in the old director's eyes as he realizes what has been returned to Morocco. Adrianne steps back out onto the sun-drenched streets of the city, looking up at the bright blue Moroccan sky. Her hands are empty, but for the very first time, her chest feels completely full. The legacy of the Sultan's tear is finally safe, not hidden away by wealth, but given to the world to enjoy forever. Thank you for listening to tonight's tale from the Purely Fiction Society. Adrianne Black discovered that the truest value of a treasure is found in sharing its history with the world. But it makes one wonder, if you stood in the hidden room holding a priceless artifact that no one else knew existed, would you have the strength to give it away, or would you have kept it for yourself? Let me know your honest thoughts on her choice in the comments below. If her journey through Marrakech gripped you tonight, please hit that like button. And to ensure you never miss our standalone adventures, make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. Until next time, keep searching the shadows and stay curious. Good night.